question number one for Carter. By the way, thanks for popping in the third time. Happy to have you. To what extent is Shade actually a private DeFi platform?
Private balances, private transactions, and the more people that come and play on Secret Network, the more private it becomes.
Can you explain that a little bit, that last part?
Essentially, the more transactions that happen on Secret Network, it's already, I would call it, 80, 90% private, but people can try to piece things together. Essentially, the more noise that gets created, the more adoption, the more difficult it's going to be to unfuzz that information. And it is already like quite private, but we're always improving, always trying to get better in the world of privacy. It's not you never reach the finish line. It's an endless game of optimization and improvement.
Do you consider privacy to be the product of Shade Protocol or even Secret Network, or is it just a feature that you think gives you this unique angle into decentralized finance?
I think that without privacy, crypto and DeFi is limiting itself. I came to crypto to reclaim autonomy. The world right now, it's after your data. It's all about controlling. They're trying to control your money. And so we want to build a platform that's unstoppable and empowers people to take control of their money. And if you exist in a totally transparent world of decentralized finance, you put a lot of your liberties and freedom at risk. And so that's what Shade Protocol's product is, protecting your autonomy. That's what we're all about.
And we've talked in the past. You made the distinction between, is it autonomy, sovereignty and autonomy, and privacy, and how you can't have one without the other. Could you revisit that? This was something we talked about in one of our early conversations, but I think it's important.
Essentially, in this world of transparent finance, you're being watched. I've talked with people from Chainalysis, the amount of tooling they have on Ethereum, on Base, on any of these blockchains, they can correlate who you are and what decisions you're making. And that's only going to become more extreme over time. And so total transparency means you don't actually have true autonomy, because you can make a decision and someone can come after you for that decision. And so that's why privacy is so key. This world of decentralization is meaningless if you don't actually have privacy and the ability to decrypt your own transactions and own your money, your data, your decisions, which is the new Shade Protocol tagline in 2024.
Let's say I'm not new to crypto, but I'm new to privacy preserving protocols. If I'm bullish on privacy, I'm not a power user of DeFi. Am I looking first at Secret Network, the secret token, or am I looking first at Shade in your opinion, and why?
Yeah, I would say both are great entry points. Secret is the gas token that all of the dApps on Secret Network use, and Shade Protocol is a dApp on top of Secret Network. So yeah, a great starting point is buying Secret from a centralized exchange or a decentralized exchange, bridging it into Secret Network, and then now you're in this world of privacy. You can start interacting with Shade Swap, with Shade Lend, Shade Bonds, liquid staking tokens. We have other wonderful products on the way too. Things like Finna's debit cards, which is essentially like a privacy preserving debit card. You have Satoshi's Palace, a privacy preserving decentralized casino. So the landscape of Secret's really growing. Secret's a great starting point. And Shade is also one of the most used private tokens on Secret Network. So it's another great starting point.
Let's talk about Shade as basically as a DAO, right? It's kind of like this privacy preserving, decentralized, I don't want to call it a corporation or a company, but it's in that realm, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is if you had to explain it to somebody that's new, what's the core business of this DAO? What makes it a DAO, in other words?
Yeah, the core business of the DAO is we want to create essentially a product that many people use that generates fees where revenue is greater than expenses, and that excess value can be returned to all different essentially shade stakers and contributors. And long term, I think the mandate's bigger than just like growing wealth, but it's actually empowering privacy public goods. I view that as like one of Shade's long term mandates. And actually, with the upgrade we have on the way, We're going to have an entire dashboard that shows all the fees that have been generated, all of the protocol owned liquidity deals that Shape Protocol has done. And eventually we're also like, we're going to, the dashboard's not like a one and done thing. We eventually want to be able to have P&L charts and have people be able to see that journey towards actual sustainability with more revenue than fee. More revenue than protocol expenses ultimately.
And you called this a kind of a public good, and you mean for obviously the Cosmos ecosystem first and foremost, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and you talked about these protocol owned liquidity deals. I'm still on the fence with some of those. I don't see them working. I think it's very highly dependent on the tokens involved,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it makes sense for DAOs, right? And project tokens and DAO tokens. Is there a partnership that you already have, liquidity partnership that you're especially keen on? You think this really could grow and advance both projects simultaneously? Could you name one that you really are excited about?
Yeah, absolutely. So first off, I'll say we've done 16 liquidity deals. We've done more liquidity deals than anyone else in Cosmos, and we have more on the way. We like the model because you look back on the last 4 years of DeFi, and people essentially chuck incentives at mercenary liquidity providers to come in. They farm your token and then they leave. Versus liquidity deals are really two protocols. To your point, tying their fate together, opening up
Mhm.
the doors for like liquidity and trading. And there's advantages to it and there's disadvantages to it. Um, the liquidity deal I think is the most powerful is the one with Finna. They went to a centralized exchange. It was very expensive for them to get a market maker. Like people don't know this, but there's monthly retainer fees for market makers, and you have to be able to put up that capital. And it was essentially like people couldn't really buy their token. Like super awesome, super ambitious project. I think they're gonna have thousands of cards, tens of thousands of cards in the next year. It's just a wonderful product. And so they partnered with Shade Protocol very early on. They brought the Finna token, we brought the Shade token, boom, trading venue right out of the gates, no mercenary capital involved. And that's been a like very fruitful partnerships. And you can also look forward to seeing the Finna debit card in the Shade app. I suppose I can technically I'm already leaking things for the next upgrade, but it is scheduled for the next upgrade in September. You'll be able to manage your Finna debit cards from the Shade app.
So a dashboard for that debit card.
Correct.
Excellent.
Yep.
Great. Okay. I mean, it sounds good because debit cards or just anything that where you could use Web3 to interact with brick and mortar businesses, like that's where the rubber actually meets the road. You're not in this little bubble called, Web3. And now there'll be the privacy, almost like a privacy wrapper on the whole thing. People could actually use their crypto. So, all right, that's very good info, actually, really good info.
And you combine something like the Finna debit card with the Silk stablecoin, and now you have like this privacy preserving kind of place to store your value that is hedged against inflation. And then when you want to go to the grocery store and spend your Silk, boom, you have your Finna debit card. And all of my favorite feature of Finna, I guess I'm spending a little bit of time talking about them, is all of the money is custodied on a smart contract. This is my favorite feature. So that even if their whole service got shut down, they can't take your funds for you, which I think that's brilliant because they are, it's a pretty new concept of privacy preserving blockchain, bridging to the real world. There is regulatory risk, but they're not actually holding your funds for you at any point in the journey. The only time their service really gets activated is when you buy something, the smart contract that you own that's custodying your funds swaps over on Shade Swap, privacy preserving to USDC, and then it gets bridged over to a centralized exchange where essentially they have like temporary pass through custodianship. So your funds are always protected, and I think it's such a powerful product.
And Shade is going to be like the avenue where customers can actually take advantage of this.
Correct. And actually, Shade Protocol, we have a special deal with Finna where we're going to be getting Shade Protocol will be getting a kickback for every single person that signs up for the Finna debit card. So we really want to tie our fate to them. We want to help them get to 10,000 cards, 100,000 cards, and have Shade Swap be the liquidity venue that's managing all of that commerce with Silk at the center of it.
So Shade is a suite of applications. It's on the secret network. I have always wondered what's going to be in your mind a year from now, 2 years from now. What's going to be the killer app out of the suite? Is it going to be the Silk stablecoin as a product? Is there going to be an app that you think is going to be the one where you say Shade? That's the one that people think of first before they get involved in all the others.
Yeah, I personally believe that as we're getting closer to rounding out the product suite, we think that right now with all the UX friction with viewing keys, that people don't, not enough people are actually playing in the playground. It's too hard to use. It's too difficult to use. So our number one mission this year, following this upgrade and working with the Secret Network L1 team, is to be fixing viewing keys. Where we're gonna get it down to a single click, a free click, mind you, experience. It'll be seamless UX, just like a lot of the other locations. But I think the killer app, Joe, is going to be mobile. I think when you're going to be able to have a passive savings account, when the money market comes along for Shade Protocol, when you have all these different DeFi tools, and then you have essentially like your Apple Pay and your Finna debit card, like this whole connection of DeFi yield back to everyday life. I don't want to have to use a bank account anymore. I want to be able to transition to a privacy preserving, decentralized bank where I fully custody everything. I fully manage all my funds. And I think with those privacy protections, we're headed towards something super special. So I don't think it's one single use case. I think it's going to be the collection of them that create something that's never been done before.
Yeah, mobile is definitely where it's going to be at. I think that people are not people are shopping. They're already using their phone for payments. Not everybody, not me, but most people I see out there are doing that. And yeah, for those crypto users who are going to say, "What can I do with my crypto? Why am I even holding this?" Great, I have these yields. Boom, they have it on their phone. They could start actually engaging in commerce, which is the
Yep.
best way. You put it earlier. Commerce is the key for a lot of the Web3, or I say the end game for a lot of these
Mhm.
crypto apps.
I completely agree. I've been working on a blog, kind of tackling this trend towards like crypto, like collectively kind of waking up and being like, what do these projects actually do? What is their utility? How can we actually justify these valuations? And I think that's actually a really big net positive thing. We're going through this period of like a dopamine detox, and we're going through a phase of revaluation of why are we here? And there's two worlds. You have the one world that says, screw it, we're here for the meme coins. Let's like fully embrace the casino. And I
Yep.
think on the other side is going to be the people that say, wait, let's embrace commerce. Let's embrace all of these financial tools and like, but let's actually make something useful that bridges this digital world back to the real world. And I think anyone that only kind of builds in the DeFi corner and isn't trying to bridge back to commerce or be integrated into it, you're going to be leaving a lot of value on the table, and it's going to be like hard to justify your existence over the long haul. And so Shade, we're front running that. We're very much commerce oriented, and we believe that starting with privacy is operating from first principles, that's going to be absolutely necessary to onboard, millions of consumers to crypto.
About Shade as the DAO, right? This on basically this decentralized online Web3 company corporation. Since there's privacy, are you able to produce financial reports, user data, trends, so that you could so the DAO can better manage the platform and also provide transparency where it's appropriate?
Yes, so we believe in privacy for individuals and transparency for public goods. So even the analytics page that's coming to this upgrade is based off of viewing keys that the DAO holds, where everyone can go in and view those encrypted balances, and it's creating like a lot of the visualizations is data coming from those public goods. So absolutely, the DAO over time can continue to like open up more and more information, and that's like going to be an interesting conversation for governance over the long haul.
Yeah.
DAO is coming to Secret Network 2. We're on the final leg of the race to unlock DAOs and sub DAOs for governing all the different Shade protocol pieces of the puzzle.
And right now, it's not so much managed, but there's the Shade dashboard. Would you consider anyone to be staking the token or providing liquidity to be a member of the DAO, whether they know it or not yet?
Yeah, I would say anyone that's holding Shade in any capacity is part of the Shade DAO. You're either because you're holding a liquid token, which is capable of having voting rights whenever you kind of choose to enter into that world. So yeah, if you're a Shade token holder, whether an LP or a staker or a D-Shade person, you're all loosely tied to the DAO. Shade stakers, of course, are like the most direct democratic representation of participation.
And do you have internal data, even though that we have this privacy kind of wrapped around the apps on Secret Network? Do you
Yeah,
have
there's
data that helps you kind of assess, like, okay, here's an area of strength, we need to lean into this, here's an area of weakness, we need to talk about this? Do you have like anything like that that you're capable of pulling from from the apps?
there is certain information that, like, for instance, we can figure out how many trades have happened since the beginning of ShadeSwap. We don't know what happened in those trades, but I can tell you right now, and this is going to be on the dashboard, there has been over 700,000 trades on ShadeSwap since inception. We can tell you, once again, about collective cumulative volume, but can't tell you that, like, those individual trades that made that volume. So cumulative volume, we're approaching $750 million in total volume on ShadeSwap. Cosmos doesn't know about this. This is why this upgrade is so important, is that Shade is actually being used. It's a baby micro cap over here, but there is actually a lot of users here, a lot of energy, and we're excited to actually start telling that story with the data visualization, which is an
Great.
extra hard challenge with privacy. I'm with you on
Yeah.
that.
So would you say it just adds, obviously there's a huge benefit to privacy, right?
Mhm.
And but there is that small extra inconvenience or layer of complexity that becomes a challenge as you're trying to reach as many users as possible. Is that fair to say?
It's absolutely fair, and it's on us to solve it. And we've spent 3-4 years solving it, and it still feels like every day we wake up and it's like, man, like we have so much further to go. But I'm confident by the end of 2024, privacy on Shade Protocol will be a one-click free experience. It will feel just like Osmosis, but with one extra click. That's it. Until we've achieved that, we've failed in our mandate in creating experience that can actually onboard millions of people.
Shade had their first kind of affiliate NFT mint. Anything you want to say about Shade Spartans for the people that are watching that are NFT collectors, NFT degens?
Yeah, so the collection sold out. All 300 sold. It was extremely fun mint party. The community has loved the art.
Mhm.
Actually, all of the funds that have been fundraised are being devoted to Shade buybacks and protocol owned liquidity. So it's been super cool just to have that flywheel of, like, community participates and the team, like, we're not keeping any of it at all. All the value goes straight back to the protocol, which has been really cool to see. And yeah, on the art side, like, go check it out on Stash. It's the 300 Spartans, and Stash is a beautiful NFT platform. Stargaze and Stash are like my favorite NFT platforms
Mm.
in all of Cosmos. I don't think anyone else really even holds a candle to those two platforms in Cosmos. Maybe I'm uninformed, but I think those two are just really, really awesome. And yeah, if you believe that privacy is a human right, if you believe in, holding an NFT that's symbolic of, taking a stance against, government tyranny, against centralized power, that's really the collection is more of a philosophical stance. We're not trying to make it be all this, exclusive access to sneakers or something, like that's not what it's about. It's more about all of us, repping PFPs and being part of a movement of people. So
I did mint mine. I like mine. I like the action figure type art. People will be able to see it that are watching this video, and that NFT hopefully can be implemented into the different apps in other ways, maybe just fun, kind of gamey ways, or maybe when we finally, I hope,
mhm.
progress to a point where an NFT is looked at as just like a more versatile, fungible token.
Yeah.
I would like to see some cool stuff, especially with the privacy features on Secret Network.
Yes, we definitely, over the long haul, once Shade Protocol, cements itself with DAOs and sub DAOs, I could definitely see a Shade Spartan sub DAO coming into fruition where those 300
Mhm.
NFT holders can start kind of banding together in really interesting ways. And, like, who knows where. I think the Syndicate DAO NFT group has done, like, a really, really good job of kind of modeling what some of that stuff can look like. So we'll see if Shade Spartans follow suit, but it's up to the NFT holders. We'll see where it leads. Should be fun.
When NFT analytics on Shade.
Oh, we'll wait for the 300 Spartans to raise their spears up and demand it.
Awesome.